getting it in. USC at number 20 stands pat. I watched that game. From beginning to end, and I'm looking at Herm Edwards, who must be still wondering today how he lost that game. They had that game won with 3 minutes left to go. Nobody's recovered an onside kick, to my eyes, this year. Friggin' USC recovers an onside kick. It comes down to a game-winning play from Keaton Slovis to Drake London on a 4th down to get the touchdown, a tight window. That game was a microcosm of the Clay Helton experience at USC. That man should have been fired twice already. Hasn't been. He has escaped. That has been his MO, the great escape. They're 1-0, but they played the toughest team on their schedule. So they could walk into the Pac-12 championship game and have an opportunity to play in the college football playoff. That's where we are with USC football. My goodness. Texas, number 21, 5-2. They got to win against the West Virginia team that I think is much better than we thought it might be. They play really great defense up front. Jared Dagey passed for over 300 yards against Chris Ash's defense. They can run the football, though they couldn't do it against Texas with Letty Brown yesterday. I think they got an opportunity to, again, play themselves into the Big 12 championship with the win that they got over Oklahoma State. If Oklahoma can take care of Oklahoma State and Oklahoma State is able to, if Oklahoma takes care of Oklahoma State, we could be looking at OU Texas in the Big 12 championship game. Yeah, that's right. Liberty at number 22, 7-0. The Flames were dead against Vatek. Vatek called a timeout right before they blocked a field goal. Goodness me. Hugh Freeze and Liberty are already looking at that Mississippi State job that Mike Leach just got, though I thought it would be interesting, again, if that Michigan job becomes available, that Texas job becomes available, if Hugh Freeze gets either one of those as a look. Might be worth taking a look at. Malik Willis, over 200 yards passing, over 100 yards rushing. Auburn transfer is making them go. Number 23, Northwestern, 3-0 in the Big Ten. Nice to be the sacrificial lamb coming out of the Big Ten West. I don't know what to do exactly with that, right? Because, I don't think Northwestern is a good football team. I don't think they're a bad football team. But the idea that Indiana is not going to be able to play Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game hurts. Though they get to play them week after next, and we all know how that's probably going to go. But, golly, the Big J journalists that went to Northwestern are having a good time with this, and that's probably what's making me so mad. Auburn at 4-2, number 24, sure. They'll catch another 2 losses, at least one against Alabama, and that'll be that. Number 25, Louisiana Lafayette at 6-1. Again, the Sun Belt representing. Others receiving votes. North Carolina at 85, stomped a mud hole in Duke. Army got 54. Tulsa got 47. Tulsa is a Cincinnati win away from being quite literally good, although I don't think that they're good. I hope they play that game against Cincinnati. I really want to see it. And in that Monique way, I would like to see it. Because even as a TU alum, I'm looking at this team going, nah, man. Y'all should have lost that game to East Carolina. You've had games that you want to play, get postponed, rescheduled. I get all of that. And you haven't had an opportunity to show that you're not actually that good except against Oklahoma State. An Oklahoma State team that until last week was number 6 in the country. We'll see. Utah getting 33 points. Washington getting 21. Arizona State getting 11. Purdue getting 8. Wake Forest getting 6. Boise State getting 5. Appalachia State getting 5. California getting 3. Maryland getting 3. Nevada getting 1. Nevada needs more respect. They're undefeated. They're 3-0. Give them their props. Maryland needs more respect. They beat Penn State and Minnesota in back-to-back weeks. I understand Penn State and Minnesota ain't that good, particularly Penn State. But neither is Maryland, right? Right? Taulia Tagovailoa out there just cooking people. Jake Funk out there just running on people. Raheem Jarrett out there getting it in, right? Demas out there getting it in. I feel like we got to start talking about them in a real way. I'm not kidding. I don't know why Cal got votes. They got a game postponed. What? Washington too. Like, what are we doing there? Anyway, that's the top 25. Now that I have quite literally redone it, and I thought this was going like for 20 minutes. I'm gonna put this in the podcast. That was also a thing that I wanted to get. Oh, let me see. Alakazam with the super chat, and then I'll tell you about what I'm thinking about the channel, how some things might change. The loss hurt last night, but we beat ND all the time, so we will bounce back. Fumbles hurt us. I'm shocked we are number 4. Obviously, he is a Clemson fan. I'm not shocked that you're number 4. It's a good football team. So one of the things that I wanted to get to, that I thought I got to when I was recording but wasn't, or streaming but wasn't, is I think I'm going to start doing this more often, where we sit here and we talk with each other for maybe half an hour every day, as opposed to making 4 uploads a day, because I understand that there's not a whole bunch of people that really enjoy the replays, and I understand that we all hate titles, because I want to take this moment to actually talk about that. YouTube is a search engine, and the way that it categorizes is using the headline, and the way that it alerts you, for those of you that, see some notifications but don't, is it connects you to the things that it thinks you want to watch, right? And I get that this channel has become way more than what it started out being, right? It's become so much about college football and sports, as opposed to just being about Oklahoma football. So much so that I get OU fans that are going to talk more about Oklahoma. And I get everybody else telling me all this dude does is talk about Oklahoma. So I think I'm doing it right. But I think if we start doing this, kind of like with the podcast, and you can go download the podcast, The RJ Young Show, wherever it is you get your podcast, and listen to it over there if you don't have time to get here. But the reason I want to do the streams is to interact with the chat whenever it's there, and like on days like today, when I know that all we want to do is talk about the goings-on Saturday, I thought this would be a good place to do that. So I'm going to take a question, then I want to kind of go through the conference recaps, see what we're doing it. Let's see. See what we got in here. I'm trying to scroll up because I know that folks have been putting stuff in here. Make sure I take a look at what y'all are saying. Sometimes y'all have really good questions, sometimes not. Them's the breaks. Let's see. What happened to Penn State this season? They returned Clifford, their receiver. Number 5, you're talking about Jahan Dotson, is solid, and they have a coaching continuity. They lost 2 tailbacks, right? Journey Brown, Noah Cain. Noah Cain to injury. We're not sure about Journey Brown, but Devin Ford's the only dude that they trusted. They also lost KJ Hamler, even though Jahan Dotson is good. They lost Justin Shorter to Florida for transfer. And they lost a ton on the defensive line, right? Although Pratt Fryermuth is still there and probably their best pass catcher. I think it's about recruiting with Penn State. And when we look at Penn State, one of the things I want you to take account is that they had a Justin Fields committed there for a hot second, that they were in the running for Caleb Williams this year. And then look at the state of Pennsylvania 2021 247 Sports composite rankings. You'll see that none of the top 10 players in the state are committed to Penn State. That is absolutely wild, especially because Penn State or Pennsylvania puts out outstanding football players, right? It ain't like Kansas. Not to shade Kansas, but y'all put out like 1 or 2 every year, right? Penn State puts out 10 to 12. And that way it's kind of like Jersey. Like Jersey's such an underrated football state. They keep pumping out dudes, right? I mean, Saquon Barkley, Minkah Fitzpatrick, I can keep going. But that's the way that we view Penn State. James Franklin was brought there because he could recruit. And he hadn't been doing that. And I don't care how good your coaching continuity is, even though, he has a new offensive coordinator. He stole the dude from Minnesota, Kirk Saraga. You're not going to be that good if you don't have better players. So, yeah, you're going to get stomped on if you don't have the players to go. Because take a look at Army or Air Force or Navy. They have good coaches. They have great coaching continuity. They ain't got the dudes, right? Like, that's what it is. They're a service academy. That's why they run Flexbone. It's also why Paul Johnson's Flexbone didn't work at Georgia Tech. He didn't have the dudes. When he had Megatron out there, they threw him the ball. That was their dude, right? You got to have dudes to win. They don't have dudes.